Okay. Hi everybody, welcome to our live show, our live monthly show, Radical Soul-Led Living in Becoming Radically Soul-Led Woman. And I'm so excited today to be with my amazing, beautiful guest, Kallie St. Clair, all the way from Hannibal. You're in Hannibal, right, today?
Yeah.
No, Missouri. And she's gonna share with you everything, well, not everything, as much as she can on what she's doing with essential oils, what she's been doing and how they have supported her. And if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. I will attempt at seeing them from my phone, and we will try and answer your comments live. Otherwise, Kallie can just respond to you in the comments after I show and get a conversation going on there. Kallie, I know the reason why I know Kallie, why I've invited her in here, is she's one of my past clients. We spent a year together working together, and she has been doing such incredible things on this journey that she's on with essential oils and more. I don't think it's just essential oils that you're about. So much more. And I'm just going to go ahead and read her bio, and then we're going to get into a little bit more deeper questions. So I'm just going to, I decided to update my Facebook on my phone right at the start of this live, and I don't know why I did that, but anyway, oh, there we go, it's working. So let me just open the screen for this live, and then, okay, perfect. So I'll try and keep an eye on that as well for any questions you might have. Okay, so Kallie St. Clair. I can honestly say I have lived an incredible life with an amazing support system, and yet still there was part of me for many years that felt like it was missing. I didn't realize it at the time, but the lifestyle I was living and the future I was creating wasn't sustainable for my health, and it led me to feel depressed, insecure, uninspired, and ultimately bored. That wasn't the life I came here to live, and I knew I was born for more. Right on cue, doTERRA enters, and my outcome and perspective changes forever. It was the beginning of a path I had never foreseen for myself, but I am oh so grateful. Not only did the products change my life, I also found personal growth, community, connection, and much more. I'm an essential oils wellness advocate, a yoga and meditation instructor, a truth seeker, and an active person who enjoys volleyball, walking, coffee dates, and travel. And yeah, so welcome to this space. Welcome to this group. I'm excited that you get to be here and shine a light on this world of essential oils, and share with us how doTERRA really came into your life, and what do you start there. Let's start there, and we'll go.
All right. Well, I'm happy to be here. I'm so happy to talk with you. So it's a funny thing, because even as you just read that bio, which I wrote, more things came up for me as to, why this landed in my life and how divinely timed, and just, how beautiful it is that I have had this opportunity kind of brought to me, definitely by divine will of God, because that was not my plan. That was certainly not my plan at all. It's really funny, because if you had talked to me when I was in college, when I was exploring what it is that I wanted to do, I was the type of person that was, I'm going to sit in a cubicle and I want to be by myself, and I want to just be told what to do, and I'm just going to make it, really easy on myself, because I was almost, I don't know if it's necessarily afraid, but at the time, I didn't really know how to distinguish it, but I felt like that was the only thing that I was good at. Like, I felt like I wouldn't be able to do something big.
Yeah,
I
just
felt
like following instructions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, wanted to, go to school, get a regular job, sit in my cubicle, put in my 40 hours and go home. And so that was ultimately my plan when I went into business management when I was in college. So after that, I had kind of awakening. So like my friend actually introduced me to meditation when I was in almost like my last semester of college. And I'm so, so grateful for that, because it woke me up to a whole nother world out there, and also helped me explore my inner psyche that much more, to understand why I was, on the path that I was. And then my mom passed away from pancreatic cancer when I was only 22. And so that just really hit me hard. And while I could have gone down more the path that I was on in college, which was binge drinking, which was partying, which was caring what other people thought about me, and living in that system, instead, because my friend introduced me to meditation, I went to go down this path where I was like, I am going to research as much as I can about natural health, preventative health, because I do not want to see people experience what I had to experience with my mom. And that was ultimately what really opened me up to essential oils.
Wow.
Funny, because it took me actually like 6 months to attend a doTERRA class. It took me like, I was being,
they were knocking for long.
yes. It was one of those things that I knew I was interested in natural health and all of this, but I felt like I didn't need them. And that's where I think a lot of people might be at too, is like, I didn't at the time I felt like, I'm healthy. I drink chia seeds in my water. I exercise every day. I, take probably some terrible multivitamin every day. Like, I was like, I'm fine. I don't need these.
Yeah.
And
so
then
what happened when you went on that first meeting?
So it was actually this person who had cut my hair for many, many years. We bonded over the fact that we both had pugs, like years before. So funny. Now she's a lifelong friend, and I adore her. And so she actually, like, she had me specifically in mind, and because she feel like, with everything that I've been through with my mom and with me as a person, that I would be open to these. And that
she knew the power of the oils.
Exactly. So she'd had experience, and she knew how amazing they were, and she just knew I would love them. And so she didn't give up on me. And for that, I'm so grateful that she didn't, because she messaged me every month or two and just said, hey, I'm having a class. I would love to see you there. And so one day at her hair studio, she had like an open class, and I was like, okay, I'll just stop by, see what it's all about. And so one day so from there, the first thing they did was pass around a bottle of wild orange and a bottle of peppermint. In college, I was on depression medication because I was just not living in alignment with myself. And that was my body's, intuitive way of telling me, hey, this is not acceptable. This is not an environment that you want to be in. This is not the person that you want to be, and I believe that is what, our depression, anxiety, a lot of that is telling us. And by us, taking medications automatically, not saying not for some people, but, taking it automatically without acknowledging why you're feeling that depression or why you're feeling that anxiety. To me, it was just, I was numbing myself. So I decided after I was introduced to meditation that I did not want to be on that anymore. I decided I don't want to do that. I do not want to take the Adderall that I was on, because at the time I'd had multiple concussions and was really just had a lot going on mentally in my mind. And so this first bottle of wild orange, when I tell you, I had like an out-of-body spiritual experience, like it was instant happiness.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. And I believe you, because I use the oils as well. I'm in love with the oils. Wow. And it's just amazing how something can just like trigger an emotion in you, and support your nervous system in such a big and powerful way.
Yeah, absolutely. Our olfaction system, what a lot of people don't realize, is that it is so powerful. Like, it is our most powerful sense, is our sense of smell. That's why, like, who's our partner that we do, is because we are, attracted to their smell. And there's certain people that when we smell them, I've gone on dates before where I'm just like, I don't like the way they smell. It's like
not my style.
Yeah,
Very primal, very primal.
it's almost like unexplainable sometimes, but it's like
But
you,
I agree. I mean, I
yeah,
remember when first dating my husband, and I just loved the way he smelled, even if it was all this, cheap cologne or whatever he was using. I just loved the way he smelled. And I loved the way his sweaters would smell when I would wear them, and it's like a stupid movie that you're watching and you see the girl wearing the boyfriend's, clothes, but just that smell of him, his smell. I can really, really relate to that. And it's really, really primal. I mean, yeah. It's
yeah.
incredible. So yeah, keep going. Keep talking about that
Crazy.
experience. Yeah.
Well, it's crazy to think that like, yeah, we all use that. Like you and your husband use the same laundry detergent, like you use the same everything, but yet you still have a different smell on your clothes.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
our sense of smell is so powerful. And what a lot of people don't know too, is that it can actually unlock stored memories and emotions that have been stored in your brain. Because like for me, I've had instances where, I've smelled like just yesterday, my grandma was cooking this like turkey stew, and she would do that with like the leftover turkey bones, and then she'd put like rice and like celery and some of this other stuff in it, and it just gave me such nostalgia because I hadn't smelled it in years. And I think we all have those moments, whether we can explain them or not, where you smell a candle and you're like, oh my gosh, that reminds me of my grandma, or like you smell it, reminds you of a past memory. And so our memories, emotions, and all of that can be really accessed through our sense of smell. And so when I smelled that wild orange, I'm telling you, I was instantly like in love. Instantly, because I had never smelled something so powerful and so like close to nature. That was the thing that I loved most about it, is it did not smell synthetic at all. It just smelled great, like I had busted into an orange. It was
wow. Yeah, you can actually feel the spray of the orange juice.
Yes,
That's
so
wonderful.
And so by the end of the class, because she talks a little bit about just the purity, the potency, and how grocery store oils are just not the same, because when you smell a lot of those, they just you can smell the fragrance and you can smell the chemical. And so afterwards, just after my experiences with the oils, after hearing her talk about just the way that they go from seed to bottle, was amazing to me, and how it impacts the co-impact sourcing. To me, was what really hit home. I encourage, we don't need to go into it too much, but co-impact sourcing is something that I looked up on YouTube, and I got home that night, because I'm a skeptical researcher. Like I'm like, okay, yeah, I had that experience, but I still gotta I gotta find out more. So I went home and immediately wrote down co-impact sourcing, and I looked it up, and that night I cried, because I was moved by what they're doing in this industry. And so by the end of the class, I not only was like, okay, I'm definitely going to get some oils, I was also like, oh my gosh, more people need to know about this. Like just in one class, I automatically knew that I wanted to share these with other people, because so many people were coming up in my mind. Like I was like, my sister needs these, my dad needs these. Like we're struggling so much right now, because it was only like 8 months after my mom had passed. And so we were really struggling, like just mentally, emotionally. And so of course, all of it comes in waves. And so it was one of those where like that whole first year was all that year of firsts, where it was wave after wave after wave. And so by the end of it, I was like, yeah, so I'm down to do this, to share it with people, like, because I was just unbelievably moved.
Wow. I love the story, and I love how the power of the essential oils, and it's actually the power of Mother Earth, working through the oils and speaking through the frequency of the oils, and really, really hitting, the frequencies that you need. That's how I see it. It's like every essential oil has a note, it has its own like note, texture and frequency. And depending on what you're feeling, and I know you choose intuitively what you need every day, and we'll go into that as well. Like your body knows, and the oils know, and it's a beautiful synchronization of support and healing and well-being in the body because of Mother Earth's deep connection with us, right? So
Absolutely.
How have the oils impacted you up until now, like spiritually, mentally, and your physical health? Where is the most impact been, and how was the process for you? What's the process that you've been using?
Yeah, there isn't a facet of my life that it hasn't impacted. For sure, the physical health is probably one of the most primary that I would say like most people have a strong experience with. I'm very intuitive, so emotionally they have impacted me tremendously. But the thing with the physical health is that it's so powerful because we can't, it's kind of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs or like the chakra system. We don't have our basic needs met. If our body is taken care of, if we don't have our health, our baseline of health, then we can't really go into, those higher realms of thinking and higher realms of consciousness because we're so focused on that headache, or we're so focused on that backache, or, whatever it is that's going on physically, because there's that saying that's like, a healthy man wants the world and a sick man only wants one thing, and that's their health.
Yes. Yeah.
Because if you have that physical health, then that's just such a key component to, accessing our best self, our highest self.
Yeah.
And so I use it for everything physically, where, like if something comes up, I automatically, that's my first line of defense. I have not used over-the-counter medications in 5 years since starting doTERRA.
Yay.
I don't even keep them on hand. Like if I have, and I used to be somebody who I was on antibiotics a bunch. I was taking ibuprofen. I was taking, just everything over the counter because we just didn't know. That wasn't something that, my family knew about. And so I'm just very grateful that I get to, shift that for my family, move forward. But that's the most primary things that I use it for. And now it's almost changed the way that I also view my physical ailments. Because there's an app called Emotions and Essential Oils. And I highly recommend it. There's a book as well, but the app is nice because it's so convenient, and it's only a one-time fee that will continue to update as more oils come out. So it's nice. But one of the first things that I do is either on that app or through Feelings Buried Alive, Never Die, which is another app and book combination. Look up why I am having the physical messages in my body that I'm having. Because most people just think, oh, I'm having something physical come up, like, well, that just means that I must have done something physically, or that it's genetic. And then most of the time, people don't realize that that's our body's messaging system and our way of telling us, hey, something is off, or something is stored within us that we need to acknowledge. And of course, I didn't think of health that way prior. Like
that's not how we've been taught.
Exactly.
We've been taught if something's wrong, if we're sick, we go to the doctor or the professional, and they tell us what we have to do. Instead, we get to relearn that when your body's giving you a message, it's to come into your body. You have to come back into your body. A lot of the times we're living way out into the future or way back into the past. And that's like causing this misalignment that we have inside of us. And it's causing you, it's also like buried emotions, buried memories, unprocessed, unresolved. And the body's like then telling you, you know what, there's stuff here that you have been ignoring, and you really get to come back into the body and see what that's about, instead of taking another pill or drinking another beer or, having another pizza or scrolling, keep scrolling on Facebook. All of that is also type of medication. And we get to really come back into our bodies and really become the healers of our bodies. We get to relearn how to do that. So what would you usually, like, you had a physical thing that you healed with your essential oils. Talk about that with us. Something that was really, really big for you.
What haven't I? But one of the number one thing, probably, I actually feel like God gifted me my last concussion so that I could compare it to my other 2 concussions before oils, because so I've had multiple concussions, all from fainting, all unexplained by Western medicine. The first time I went in and got scans. I did all of the things I was supposed to do, and they gave me 0 answers. They said, we don't really know, rest, avoid light, all of that good stuff. And this was when I was in high school, my first one, and it was probably 2 years, I would say, before I really felt like I had my brain to mouth alignment where I wouldn't just drift off mid-sentence because I had no idea what I was saying, because my brain was sharp after having that much trauma.
Wow.
Like, my head bounced off the concrete like multiple times. I got whiplash in my neck. There was just, it was a very hard hit. And so that one on top of the next one, which happened a few years later, it was definitely what I think led me a lot to like some of those feelings of depression also, and just focus and all of that. And it was years. And I remember like literally reading The Hunger Games, and I loved The Hunger Games. And I just started bawling because I was like, I can't even read for fun anymore. And I've been a reader since I was young. Like, when my family would they could never send me to my room as a kid because I'd be like, okay. And I'd go in there happily and I'd read a book and be alone.
That's so cool.
And so I've always been a reader. And then after that, it was like, I just couldn't focus. I couldn't do it. I would reread the paragraph 500 times. So this third time I was already into doTERRA. I'd already, known a little bit more about natural health, and I was, looking up the emotions behind, why I was having these wake up calls, or these, that's what I like to call them. If they were like, hey, wake up, like, hey, something needs to change. So this third one, I woke up because I'd collapsed on the porch, my head again, and woke up and immediately was like, grab the frankincense. Like, that was the first words out of my mouth. I was like, grab the frankincense. So I, applied that to the back of my neck religiously. And then there's a protocol called Symphony of the Cells. And Boyd Truman came out with this protocol. His mom is actually the one who wrote Feelings Buried Alive Never Die.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So there's a lot that's connected with that, with like the physical and emotional health aspects. So I had my boyfriend at the time do Symphony of the Cells on me like 3 days out of that week. And it was less than a week. I had the same recovery time that I did in 2 years.
Wow.
Wow. I mean, I went back to work the next week. Like, I would have never been able to do that after my first or second concussion.
Wow, that's beautiful.
And I actually had that focus, that brain to mouth, and I could just feel the difference by doing that logical protocol multiple times. And so for me, that was powerful because I had something to compare it to also.
Yes. I'm just taking notes. Symphony of the Cells, and then I'm going to put these in the comments when we finish. And also the apps that you've mentioned. Okay. And also, so thanks for that. That's a huge, it's a very profound and important experience that you had. And I mean, concussion, it's serious, and it's amazing that you were able to recover so fast. And I remember you also had healed something else, like more physical in your appearance, your skin allergies. Would you like to talk about that? Yeah, so I kind of went through a doozy in my 20s where I had severe dermatitis and eczema on my face. Like, I have beautiful skin now, but through my mid-20s, I did not. It was horrible. I looked like a burned
at certain points in my, where it was like peeling and it was red. And at one point it was swollen. And so that was the only time in this, like, basically decade that I had gone to the hospital where, and again, confirmed that the medical system didn't, I went to 3 different doctors and they all prescribed me the same thing, which was ointment.
Yep.
And then come to find out that actually slowed my healing journey because it made your skin reliant on that. So then when I wasn't using it, it was just, I was having flare. And so through that journey, I'm really grateful because it also helped explore kind of my path. I looked back and found pictures of me with that same marking about 5 years, which would have been around the time that I would have gotten my regular immunizations. And so I did genetic testing and found out that I have basically a genetic predisposition to having heavy metal, toxicity. And so where I have an inability to detox a lot of those heavy metals out that are in, the shots. And so essentially that really led me down this path of researching. And I had no idea prior to this. Like, I didn't care one way or another. I was like, you know what, I had mine, I'm fine, all of this. And so that journey has kind of been also a blessing in disguise, because then now I was awake to everything that happened in 2020, because I was like, I can see the writing on the wall and where this is heading. And I knew from the very beginning that I did not want that in my body, because I can only imagine what my body would have done as far as trying to detox that out. And so, not to make that about that or anything, because it doesn't matter to me what decision you make, but people need to be informed in their choice. And I did not realize, that there are people, like, there's like 56% of the population that have this genetic marker that gives them the inability to detox.
Oh, wow, that's a lot.
FR, yeah.
That's a lot, yeah.
And so
you made that discovery, and then?
So yes, I discovered, that was kind of the root cause of it. And so I started like really focusing on heavy metal detox, like detox my liver, because the liver is connected to the skin as well. And so I actually used like a spray that was highly recommended to me. That's not doTERRA, so I don't even make any fun thing from that, but it's called TRS spray. So if anybody's dealing with heavy metal detox, that was great as well. And then I also used lemon water first thing in the morning, like on an empty stomach, because it is so cleansing and detoxifying. So I put a drop of lemon oil in my one drop. And it's very, very cleansing. And then also doTERRA has a blend called Zindacrine, which is a detoxification blend. And so using that with like geranium and some of these really detoxing oils, I applied that to my liver and kidneys regularly.
Wow.
And so just knowing about these tools, and there's so many tools to have in your toolbox, but just knowing about them really changed not only my, obviously physical health, which needed looking at, like I needed to see that my liver needed help. And so that was my way of telling me, you need to look at this, because otherwise it could have caused me a lot more issues, down the, like something serious like cancer or, liver failure or something along those lines. And so, it was just another body's messaging system that was horrible at the time, but I'm so grateful for now.
Sure. And like, I know I also had skin issues. Maybe?
Yes.
Okay. Now?
Yeah.
I also had skin issues in my early 20s, and I ended up taking, there's a tetracycline, I think there's a chemical drug, a pharmaceutical drug that they prescribe, and you have to take it for, I think, 3 to 6 months, but it's very strong. You have to sign a paper that you're not having any plans of falling pregnant and all that stuff. I took that, and obviously it does havoc on the liver and everything, but couple of, like, even 2 or 3 years down the line, I was still having breakouts, and it's weird. And then when I started becoming more involved in my actual, my health and eating correctly and doing a few detoxes, that's when, my skin just cleared up on its own. So yeah, I can definitely relate. And I love how you mentioned, what's it, endocrine?
Endocrine.
Endocrine. And you actually just rub it on the skin and where your liver and your kidneys are?
Yes, and on the bottoms of the feet, because we have reflexology on the bottoms of our feet, so that's always a guaranteed, it's going to get to every cell of your body, get where it needs to go.
Yeah.
And also the some of the things that were the most, like, at least immediate game changers for me were some of the supplements that doTERRA has as well, because they have like a digestive enzyme. So when I would have like those trigger breakouts, a lot of it was because I could see like what I was eating was like triggering it at times, because my liver was working too hard to try to filter that out. And so I would take Terrazyme, which is the digestive enzyme, and then your body isn't so much focused on digesting food, but able to focus on healing.
Okay.
So because so much of our energy is spent digesting, especially because, we don't really give our body a break a whole lot of the time, and that's why at night rest and digest is so important. And so I would take a lot of Terrazyme before I go to bed at night. And the majority of the time I would wake up in the morning, it would be so much better and so much more healed.
Wow.
And so I'm very grateful for those supplements also getting me through the time and supporting my body.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, good for you. So if you, the time is 3:33 on my end. If you could like share, like what are the emotional benefits of oils, and like why is it your biggest passion point? Why? I know you already shared a little bit about how they help you to process your emotions and everything, but why are you so passionate about the emotional benefit of the oils?
Because I feel like that is one aspect and kind of that we overlook, that is the root cause of everything. Because as we were just talking about with our physical health, it is a physical manifestation of something that's going on with us internal. And so one of the things that I'm actually reading a book right now that's specifically about like acknowledging our emotions and our feelings. I grew up very angry and very triggered all the time, and I found out it's because I'm very empathetic, and we as a world don't necessarily support people who are, in tune with their emotions and in tune with their feelings. So we kind of shove that part away. We shove it, we repress it. And so then it again comes out in all of these different ways. Like if we look at the, at heart conditions, it's like the number one killer in the United States. And how many of us have had heartbreaks and other things that we have just never dealt with? We're just like, I'm fine. And we just shove it down. All of those feelings, all of those emotions, as that book also says in Feelings Buried Alive Never Die, all of those will show themselves again at some point if we don't truly sit and acknowledge them. And so with the oils, they really, especially like if you are just, using them daily and you are tuning into yourself, as you said, like using your intuition to like guide you towards the oils rather than, a doctor being like, hey, you need to use this, you need to take this. You are also in like tuning into yourself, you're tuning into your emotions, and maybe why you need that oil. And, even if you don't necessarily like, you can't necessarily put a name to why you're reaching for that oil, you still are supporting that emotion.
Yep.
And so that is one of the reasons why I am so passionate about it, because I feel like it is the root cause of everything. I mean, even Western medicine will tell you that 80 to 90% of our diseases are caused from stress.
Yeah.
And when you think of what causes us stress, it's perceived stress. It's our emotions, because what stresses you out may not stress me out. What stresses someone else out may not stress me out. But then there's other things that stress me out that would be nothing to someone else. And so stresses and emotions are all, perceived. And so we each have our own, individual needs. And that's what I love about the emotions and essential oils, is because you can really tell yourself, you can tell a lot about yourself. And even like I said, with unlocking past memories, and it's a very beautiful journey of like healing in layers, like peeling back layers of the onion and looking at, like I've had so many more memories and things come up for me where I'm like, wow, I never worked through that just in this 5 years, where things that I didn't think that I needed to deal with that have continuously come up for me.
Yes. And like the oils support you on the journey, and you get to witness them and release them instead of them being stored in your body. That's so beautiful. Okay, so last question.
Okay.
And then I'm going to ask you to leave us with some words of wisdom. What makes doTERRA such an amazing company? What makes it different from the rest?
So the number one thing that I personally found to be, like I said in my first class, the one thing that really made me choose doTERRA, and then of course all these other things I find out later, but the one thing that really made me choose doTERRA was the co-impact sourcing, because it is a worldwide global partnership where these growers are ones that have been doing it for generations and generations. And so the beautiful stories that we get to hear from some of the growers, where they had no income, they had no way to provide for their families, they had no schools and things in their communities, and how doTERRA has not only provided them income with fair and on-time payments, despite even if they're not in growing season. So like frankincense trees have to rest during a certain time of year, and they still pay them through that time, because they know that these people, need that income, and that they need so much more than that. And so not only have they provided like income to these growers who are all, growing on organic farms, and not only are their farms organic, but all the surrounding farms have to be organic. They have very high standards, but they are, making a huge impact on their lives. And so to me, that was like, I'm a feel person, as we can tell from this subject, and that if I feel something, then that's what I go with. You can tell me all day long that something is great, but if I don't feel that it is, then I'm not going to say yes to it. But one of the things that also really made a difference is the purity to me, because every single drop is the same dose.
Wow.
And so when you are getting something that isn't 100% pure, you don't know if you need to use multiple drops, or, if you are even getting the full benefits. And in fact, they can actually be harmful to your health, because again, what are they cut with? And, what are you using? And so what's really wonderful is in this last year, they actually have made lavender essential oil pharmaceutical grade. They have been labeled pharmaceutical grade, our lavender has, because every single drop is the same dose, and they tested it over a long period of time where they did not find any discrepancies.
Wow.
So that's really beautiful, because that is going to be what is going to integrate, like this preventative health and the essential oils with healthcare. And that's exactly what doTERRA is doing, is they're partnering with a cancer institute. They're partnering with hospitals all over the country, and they plan on, we're only in the first, beta phase of the company as well. This is going to be what can really impact healthcare, rather than, it being this or this. It can be this and this, where we can use, lavender to help somebody sleep, rather than giving them a sleeping pill that has side effects. And while we need this over here, my boyfriend's an ER nurse, there are certain things that you need the healthcare system for. But if we can use essential oils first and have that as a first line of defense in our healthcare systems, it would just absolutely change the way that we view health. Yeah. And so they're planning on every year registering one as like getting it tested to be pharmaceutical grade. So, this year it's lavender, next year it could be, peppermint is pharmaceutical grade. And so it's,
can you speak into what does peppermint help with? Like, I know it's good for headaches. Well, I use it for my headache and for any like sort of pressure I feel around my head. But share with us, like, if somebody was going to buy 3 essential oils today, what would the top 3 like basics need to be for them in their like cabinet?
Yeah. I would say there's like a little trio kit. And I feel like the reason why there's that little trio kit is because these three are like, you're getting a little bit of everything. And it's the lemon, lavender, peppermint combo.
Wow.
Because you're getting like that lemon, which is the citrus, uplifting, really high vibrant oil that is also really good for like cleansing, not only on your surfaces, but internally as well. So kind of external, internal cleanser. And then you've got your peppermint, which is so invigorating. I mean, one drop of peppermint is just, you can feel your sinuses and your senses just all open up and clear. And so for me, that really helps with, as you said, like headaches, but also like easy breathing. A lot of times I'll press a drop to the roof of my mouth and you can just feel the sinuses open up. And one of the, you can actually look on PubMed. If you type in peppermint or lavender or, you know, any of these, you can see research studies showing some of the benefits of these, including in peppermint, that it actually increases athletic performance.
Wow.
And so what I do before I go for a run or before I, you know, go do my yoga class or before I do any of my exercises, I will actually use that peppermint to help open up the lungs and the respiratory system. And so I love peppermint for that. And also it's the oil for a buoyant heart and on the emotional level. And so it's like brings you back to that like childlike spirit and is very, very heart cleansing, or I guess heart invigorating, to bring us back to that, how we were as a child, you know, in that wonder and awe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And then lavender, of course, is the all calming, all soothing. Like I picture that lavender meditation, that activation that you did when I was your client, just imagining that lavender essence is just so beautiful in its calming properties, and taken internally, it increases your melatonin production in your brain. And so it's just a very beautiful, well-rounded trio if you get that combination.
That's
perfect.
And
lavender is good for like calm communication as well. So that's a really good one to use, like if you're nervous before, say, doing a live video or something along those lines.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, Kallie. Thank you so much for your wisdom, and I know you've got so much more that you could share, but can you like go into, you've given us a free gift, and tell us a little bit more about that. What does that entail? Personalized oil sample and a 15-minute wellness consult.
Yeah, so I know that everybody has different needs. Everybody, you know, has different things that they're going through. And so I would love to gift a personalized wellness sample to you. So, you know, if you're somebody that headaches is a prevalent thing for you, then I would love to gift you that. And then we can talk about what your needs are, whether that's physical, emotional, you know, whatever it is that you're going through. And yeah, it's just a partnership. Like one of the things that I love most about this is the community, because there are people now that I get to talk with every day. You know, as adults, it gets harder and harder to stay in contact with people. Another reason why I absolutely love like what you're doing in your program and that sense of community, because it is so important and so powerful. And I think this last year and a half has highlighted that more than any time, you know, my lifetime, is just how important it is to connect with people. And so sometimes just having that, you know, outside perspective to really give you more of a clear vision on where you want to be going is really powerful.
Yes. Yeah. So I invite everybody who's listening and who's going to watch the replay, just like have an open mind and check in with yourself. Maybe you do want to try essential oils. Maybe there's something that you're going through right now, a physical ailment, one thing that you could try, you know, and just see how that works for you. We're going to drop the link for getting that from Kallie. I'll drop it in the comments right after we do our live. And I'm also going to drop her website links, her Instagram, her Facebook, and just a little bit of, I'll tag the things that you've covered today, the apps that you've talked about, the books that you've talked about. and the co-impact sourcing and all that, and people can go and do their own research, and they can, you know, drop your questions in the comments. Kallie will be there to pick them up and support you. But I highly advise you to, you know, take advantage of that personalized oil sample in 15 minutes with Kallie. She's been doing this for how many years?
Almost 6 now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's been doing this for 6 years. She's helped a lot of people. She has a huge community, and this is her passion. So, you know, instead of like needing to go and do all the research by yourself and going and digging in, you know, do your research, read a little bit up on it, but you know, you have someone here at your fingertips who's really ready and passionate and, you know, willing to help point you in the right direction and just be that little bit of extra support for you. And this is why we have these conversations. This is why I have different types of people on the show, because they are here to support us along our path. Okay. And doTERRA essential oils are, I think, for me, the best on the market. And I use them all the time with my kids. I mean, Kallie and I don't have any sort of connection with the oils, but it was a common thing when you became a client, and it was really cool. But I literally have my own little kit, and the kids know, you know, they burn themselves. It's lavender. I had a really bad burn once with a hot iron with my hair. I don't use it anymore, but I had grabbed the hot iron like with my hands on the iron part, literally just grabbed it from the floor, and I had burned this part of my finger. And we were going out for dinner, and I didn't know what I was going to do, and I just phoned my friend that had introduced me to the essential oils here locally. And she just told me, have you got lavender? And I said, I don't. And it was like 8 o'clock at night. She said, okay, come quickly over and I'll give you lavender, and you can just keep on putting it on all night. And that's what I did. I had the lavender in my purse, and during dinner, I was just putting on lavender. And by the morning, guys, it was gone. There was no redness. There was no burning. I kid you not. I was amazed. I was expecting full on, you know, blistering, but there was nothing. And now, you know, we know lavender is for burns because it pulls out the heat. It draws out the heat from the skin. It's really powerful. Just these things that we don't know if we don't know. And there's people in our environment, in our community, that can support you with other forms of wellness and health and well-being. Okay, so that we can come back into tune with Mother Nature, back into tune with our you know, powerful healing capabilities as a physical body. Right. So I'm very excited, and I would love to see many of you booking this, you know, this thing with Kallie, and, you know, taking her up on her offer. As I said, any questions, drop them in the comments, and you can reach out to Kallie for anything that you want to ask her, you know, directly. Kallie, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much for bringing your light and your vibration and your frequency and your knowledge here. It's been fun, and we'll get together again soon.
Yes. Thank you so much. And thank you all for allowing me to be here.
Well, see you soon. Ciao.
Take care.